Hey folks, we're here today with the all-new 2020 Jaguar XE. Now this is the car that was first launched in 2015. As you can see, it's had a bit of an update both outside and in. It still looks fantastic. The range has been simplified massively, so you only got petrol engines and there's only two different variants to pick from. I'm dead keen to go for a drive, so let's jump in and see how it goes. Before I jump in though, I really do want to show you the exterior of this car in a little bit more detail, because this is designed by my favorite car designer. His name is Ian Callum. He's been with Jag, he's been with Aston Martin. He really does make some timeless, beautiful cars, and I really do think the XE is the best looking car in its class. Now with this update, you can see it is a little bit more aggressive. It's kind of hard to tell really the main differences, but for me, these updated headlights with the LED look really nice. And if you sort of follow me around the corner here, you can see, you know, they've got the black back on this car. It's very nice, it's very aggressive without being over the top. Let's get to the rear, and you can still see that aggression flowing through the side here and onto the rear. And also these taillights have also got the full LED upgrade. Now all of that is standard across the range, and in fact this car that we're about to go for a drive in is the absolute base model. So this is how it looks out of the box, and it's a great looking thing. So the first thing you'll notice when you jump in this car is just how much more modern it looks than the previous XE. You've got two big giant screens here, you've got Apple CarPlay. The actual whole interior feels really nice and modern. Now this is the base model, as I said, and if you go up to the HSC, you actually get another screen to control your air conditioning controls, which frankly I actually prefer the normal analog rotary dials and the sort of buttons here. It just looks better, and I think it's actually easier to use whilst you're on the go. You can jump into a Jaguar XE now for around $66,000 plus on roads. If you spend the other $6,000, you get into the top spec car, and in that, you know, you get better technology. So you got, you know, adaptive cruise, you've got a better autonomous emergency brake system that works at higher speeds, you've got bigger wheels, you've got a better infotainment system, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I kind of like the base model, not only because it's cheaper and more affordable, but also because I like the smaller wheels. It actually rides really nicely on these 18-inch wheels. You can of course upgrade the 18s even on the base spec, but I really wouldn't. I think it rides beautifully. You can get a couple of packages. The driver package, for example, does get the adaptive suspension, and I have tested a car with and without, and yes, you can tell the difference. It does get pretty stiff in dynamic mode when you have the adaptives, and it, you know, it's, I guess, a little bit more comfortable. But realistically, if ride is important to you and you don't want to spend the extra money, you would be okay getting the base model SE with the smaller wheels without the adaptive suspension, because that does a pretty damn good job of ride and handling. This car now only comes with one engine choice. There is no longer a diesel, and there's no longer any sort of different variants of a petrol. There's just the one. It's a 2-liter, 4-cylinder, turbocharged petrol engine with 221 kilowatts of power and 400 newton meters of torque. It'll do 0 to 100 in a pretty quick 5.9 seconds. So it's an under 6-second car. And I'm going to put it in dynamic here for a second, just to show you, I guess, how it feels to accelerate. Let's go full throttle. It's not bad. It's actually not that bad at all. And this has got a 8-speed transmission. Works quite well. Now, of course, the main reason you buy a Jag is because of its dynamic handling ability, and the previous XE was pretty damn good, and this one is even better. I've got to say, the steering feel here at high speed into these tight little corners is superb. This car really does handle with a lot of poise and finesse. It does kind of inspire a sense of confidence to keep going faster, which probably isn't all that useful in a family-friendly type of sedan, but at the end of the day, right, you got to buy a car you have some fun in. And this thing really is a lot of fun for the money. I don't think it's probably as refined as the brand new BMW 3 Series, but certainly for the type of car that it is and for the way it looks, I think it drives perfectly fine and it looks fantastic on the road. You know, I said before how good the interior of this car is, but I really want to emphasize that some more, because it's not just all the big screens or the technology and all that sort of stuff that now everyone kind of has, but it's the general feel of it. I mean, I'm just touching the surfaces here, whether it's the new steering wheel, which really does look like a work of art, or sort of the nice material they've used up here. There isn't any cheap surfaces. Everything in here feels really, really premium. I actually think this is now a better interior than the Mercedes-Benz C-Class, and probably on par with the BMW 3 Series. I gotta point out this really cool feature, this mirror up here. It's actually got a camera system in the roof of the car, which means that it's just gonna project what is behind the car on the mirror digitally. So if there's someone tall sitting behind me, I can just use the camera and it looks really, really nice. When you really think about it, it makes a whole lot of sense why Jaguar Australia has simplified the new XE range. Now, these cars are not as popular as they once were. Everybody wants an SUV. But if you want one of these, the XE now makes a whole lot of sense, because you walk in, you've got very simplified choices. The options have all been packaged into little things that you could just tick and you get a whole bunch of stuff together. Makes a lot more sense, and is also a lot more affordable. And perhaps most importantly, yes, the BMW 3 Series is a fantastic car and the C-Class remains a very popular choice for most people, but this is such a gorgeous car, and if design means anything to you, it's really hard to go past the Jaguar XE. But whilst that was its only draw card previously, arguably, it now is better than ever. Honestly, this is probably one of the better cars in the segment, and if you're looking at buying something in this class, you'd be mad not to give the XE a go.